Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, May 9th, 2025. Before we begin, just want to wish everyone out there who is celebrating a happy Mother's Day for this Sunday. And of course, thank you, Mom, for everything you have done for me as well. So just wanted to put that out there. So we have a bit of a wet period of weather for today. Some locations will get quite a bit of rain, other locations not so much. We'll go over why that's the case. But here's the good news. Overall, we're trending warmer. And yes, we are going to be moving wetter, which is something that we need because what we don't want is dry, warm conditions because that means our fire danger basically skyrockets and we really don't want to deal with another drought now, do we? So we're moving into a weather pattern where this doesn't mean we're going to constantly see rain, but as we get impacted with these storms, we have a higher and higher potential for enhanced rainfall. So I'm going to explain why that is the case. So let's take a look at 500 millibars, right? And of course, please like, share, and subscribe. It actually helps the channel out quite a bit. And of course, if you're interested in this type of discussion every day, then definitely check out the premium consulting membership, only $15 a month. So let's dive into the 500 millibar pattern here. You can see here's our upper level low lifting through. What is the overall theme? The overall theme is that the 500 millibar heights overall are rising, and your high latitude blocking influence continues to shift further and further north, which is typical for this time of year again. So yes, you have a negative NAO block here, okay, and your statistics would say, hey, there's a negative NAO, but everything is displaced further north because the polar jet stream is displacing further north, which is typical for the warm season. So as a result, you get this block here that's setting up, but this block leads to this upper level low leads to above normal heights here over Greenland. Yes, typical, but also above normal heights start to develop over the Western Atlantic. And so what the atmosphere is trying to do with all these little upper level lows and ridges is try to create a balance in the atmosphere. So that is why we have the weather, because the weather is constantly a process to try to balance out different pressure regions, different height regions, and to create a stable state. But the atmosphere is the greatest failure at that because it never really accomplishes that. That's why we have so much chaos and so many storms throughout the world. So this balancing act for us over the next 15 days is going to feature gradually 500 millibar heights rising overall, but also these pesky little upper level lows. And when these pesky upper level lows interact with rising 500 millibar heights overall and a warmer environment overall, it leads to an increase in what we call precipitable water values. Now, typically when you're in this range here, which is where we're at for the most part, you get your half an inch here, inch and a half there, occasional 2-inch rainfall every so often if you get just the right lifting. But what we're watching for is an increased potential in these yellows and reds. This is where we start to talk about flash flooding and rainfall events over 3 inches and 1 inch per hour rainfall type thunderstorms. And so over the next 15 days, you're going to see not constant, but a little bit more frequency, higher frequency, and getting those higher precipitable water values coming from the tropics to push into the mid-Atlantic. Again, not constantly, but every so often. And so as the atmosphere warms and as the 500 millibar heights rise and the atmosphere could hold more moisture, you're going to see more of these yellows and reds showing up in the precipitable water values. And that is where we're going to open up that potential here for some impressive rainfall events. Again, this is typically more of a convective process. So this typically doesn't mean the whole region sees 3 inches of rain or anything of that nature. But what I'm trying to share with you is that within some of these thunderstorms moving forward and within some of these rainfall events with these heavier downpours, you can really get that enhanced rainfall potential. So we're going to be moving back into a period where, hey, we have to watch out for flash flooding. We have to watch out for river flooding. But at the same time, this is also good news in respect of eliminating and killing that drought and reducing the fire danger with this type of pattern. So good news, bad news, right? It's kind of like positives and negatives here. Obviously, you don't want flooding. That's not very good, right? But you also don't want fire danger. So you kind of have to find a balance. Now, currently, right now, we have our low pressure system here off the coast. We have another one down towards the Delmarva Peninsula, down towards southern Delaware. We have a northeasterly wind with around 5 to 15 miles per hour with areas of rainfall, especially over the interior. We'll discuss why that is going to remain a focus, and temperatures ranging from the mid 40s to mid 50s over the northern interior. The heavier the rainfall, the cooler the temperature because it's closer towards the dew point here. As you head towards the coast, you push into the mid 50s to lower 60s. Down towards southern New Jersey, where we're kind of missing out on the steady rainfall, we're already in the lower to mid 60s. And that's generally going to be where we're at for most of today. We're not really going to see much of a rise in our temperatures. When you take a look at the radar, in fact, let's zoom in a little bit. I probably should have done this beforehand, but hey, you get to see exactly what I do every day. This is our weather tap radar and surface map. Again, here's our stationary boundary with our waves of low pressure. And then here is our precipitation shield. Now, it's pouring rain around the New York City metro, back over the interior, but we're kind of missing out here. Now, over here is where we're starting to get our mid-level low pressure system starting to organize. So where do we see the heaviest rainfall? Okay, now just remember that while we look at the rest of the lifting parameters. So, on the visible satellite picture, plenty of cloud cover. It's going to be a cloudy day. There's not much in the way of sun for today, but you can see clearing off to the west over in the Ohio River Valley. I like to look at this because I want to get an idea of how fast that clearing is taking shape as this low pressure system is pulling away from the Ohio River Valley. So when I see this setting up, it tells me, okay, tonight into tomorrow morning, the clearing is going to be pretty aggressive from west to east based on what I'm seeing here with these trends, with a stronger upper level low expected by tomorrow morning lifting to the east of us. And you can see the strong lifting here. Where is it being focused? Well, it's starting to get focused more towards the coastal waters here. And of course, you have your strong lifting here. On the water vapor satellite picture, well, it's pretty clear we have our upper level low forming. And how do we know it's strengthening? Well, not just the fact that we're seeing strong lifting, but look at the substance here. Remember, atmosphere is always in balance, right? It's always trying to get that balance. So if the strong lifting is here, you have strong substance here. So this also gives me a pretty good idea that, hey, this is going to clear out faster than some of the earlier model guys was suggesting. And the weekend is actually going to be looking pretty nice because this strong substance signal is already in place and just getting ready to push east. So again, this is how you use observations when compared to models. If you just look at models and just trust in AI models, you're going to miss out on some of these finer details. And that is why you're always going to need a meteorologist. So you could see the pattern overhauls setting up here, our nice broad trough here, our upper level load taking shape here. But then after that, not much else back to the west. So let's look at our lifting. So this is the upper level divergence and diffluence. And when you have this bullseye here, this tells me where the strongest rising motion is supported in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And notice it's pretty much focused over the interior, a little bit over the coastal waters. So it looks very much like our precipitation shield. So it doesn't surprise me that our strongest lifting is focused here. So as we go on through the day, where are we going to see the strongest divergence and diffluence? Generally over the interior, over to the north of the major cities. Where are we going to see the least? Unfortunately, over southwestern New Jersey, where, quite honestly, this is where they need the rain the most in our region. In terms of frontogenesis at the mid-levels, where are we seeing focused? Over the interior. So this is where we're going to see our rainfall focused. So I don't know if you're heading out to, I don't know, maybe a baseball game or something of that nature for tonight's Mets game. Hey, this is really good news in getting that game in. Be prepared for damp conditions and just kind of raw conditions out there. Not so much lifting down towards southern New Jersey, just enough to support a little bit of the light shower development, but that's about it. Precipitable water values are surging northward as expected. And when we take a look at our upper level winds, again, that lines up very nicely here with our divergence and diffluence. Again, polar jet streams up here, subtropical jet streams down here. And this is all kind of caught in between, kind of meandering about. And that's generally going to be a theme heading into the summer, which, by the way, yes, I am working on the summer forecast, and the tropical forecast should be out in roughly about 6 days or so. So just so you know about that. And of course, next week, no live chat because I'll be out at a seminar, but just so you know that as well. So let's take a look at the lifting parameters over the next 90 hours and a little bit beyond. So, like I said, this upper level low is going to be maturing. And so, when you have the strong lifting, this is what you call NVA behind that, strong sinking behind that. This could spark off an isolated shower or two as the low pressure system is pulling away. But look at us by tomorrow morning. Your strongest lifting is to the east. Your upper level low is to the east of you. And what this supports here is convergence and confluence and sinking air. So this is great news if you have plans for tomorrow, especially tomorrow afternoon, as this will support rapidly clearing skies. And then for Mother's Day, you have a nice little short ridge axis passing over the region, and then tranquil weather conditions overall with a nice ridge really establishing itself Sunday afternoon through Monday. And then here's our next trouble spot. Now, this upper level low may be a little bit too aggressive. It has a nice negative tilt though. And again, this is all under the polar jet stream here with this nice ridge. So warmer conditions overall. And so what we have to watch out for, although I'm not as confident, is a strong moisture transport. What I'm not confident in is the lifting here. I like the idea of moisture transport, but I'm not as confident in terms of the overall lifting in this environment because look how kind of broken up it is. And we've been seeing this quite a bit where the models get really aggressive. And then once we get closer to the region, they start to back off. And again, we're seeing this signal here where very aggressive heavy rainfall, but this lifting is not exactly what I would call organized or strong. So I'm a little bit wary. I'm sticking with the scattered shower idea, but I'm not really advertising heavy rainfall just yet. At 850 millibars, again, there is our strong lifting that we're talking about over the interior. We clear out very nicely for the weekend. And then Tuesday on through the middle of next week and the end of next week. Again, I see the lifting here. I just don't buy how strong it is at this point. And the fact that it weakens as it's lifting northward, it makes me think, look, this looks more like a scattered shower event more than like a fire hose event of an inch or more rain. If this is stronger, if this lifting is stronger, then yeah, but let's wait a little bit to get a little bit more data before worrying about an inch or more rain from that event. And what that means in terms of the amount of moisture being transported. Look, the moisture transports right from the Caribbean heading right into the mid-Atlantic coast. So I'm not questioning the amount of moisture available and the moisture transport during this time period. Again, you're talking about pushing precipitable water values with some convective potential, probably a little bit of convective feedback here, but you get the idea of around 2 inches in terms of precipitable water value. If we get the lifting to line up, then we have a potential for another little heavy rainfall event on Wednesday that we're going to have to watch out for. But again, my question is really comes down to the lifting potential. So I just kind of want to walk through the weekend and we'll do the whole week forecast. Again, you can see the rainfall lifting through. By this evening, the worst of it is going to be to our north, and we're going to start to clear out. And again, with that strong subsidence, I think we're going to see that clearing beautifully setting up for the rest of the weekend. That lines up very nicely here on the NAM guidance. So we're going to take a look at the mesoscale guidance. Again, some areas of heavier rainfall through today broken up. That's kind of the convective nature. The bulk of your heavy rainfall will be over the interior. But then by the time we get to this evening, again, if you're heading out to a baseball game, watch out for a few rogue showers. I think you'll be fine. I think that they'll get the game in, but it'll be damp and chilly. So you want to have a good sweatshirt on. And then for the weekend, absolutely beautiful. And throw in one more mesoscale model, the HRR. Again, wet during the day. By this evening, everything starts to lift to the north. I'd say after 6 p.m., we really start to dry out from southwest to northeast, and we pretty much just deal with some drizzle, if that. If you're looking for steady rainfall, again, you probably want to head up towards the Poconos and Catskills. But I think by the time we get to the midnight hour, most of the region's drying out with just a few lingering isolated showers. And by tomorrow morning, it is beautiful. So, in terms of expectation for rainfall, again, premium members see this every day in the premium dashboard where you can zoom in. You go right down to your street level if you want. Again, looking at about 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain in this area where we're going to have the most steady rainfall. Half an inch to 1.5 inches of rain basically around the New York City metro, Long Island, up through Allentown and Wilkes-Barre. And then, unfortunately, as you head towards central New Jersey, southern New Jersey, and southeastern Pennsylvania, looking at 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of rain out of this event. Yes, I know you want to see more rain, but hey, we'll take what we can get, right? And that's because this is where the weakest lifting is going to be in this event. So, for today, periods of rain, temperatures not really moving all that much, as you saw. Temperatures ranging from the upper 40s to mid 50s over the northern interior, upper 50s to mid 60s in the Delaware River Valley and southern New Jersey, upper 50s to lower 60s along the coast, especially in the New York City metro. For tonight into tomorrow morning, the rain clears out, skies start to clear. Look for low temperatures in the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s in your suburbs, upper 40s to lower 50s in your urban areas and along the immediate coast. Tomorrow afternoon, the sun breaks out, tranquil conditions return, although I'm going to make a mistake there. Okay, not tranquil, a bit windy. Sunny, but a bit windy. Winds from the northwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So not exactly the tranquil conditions, but at least sunny. Look for high temperatures in the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast. Sunday, Mother's Day, this would be tranquil with low temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 40s over the northern interior, lower to mid 50s along the coast. High temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast, and upper 60s to lower 70s in the Delaware River Valley. On Monday, high pressure remains in control with tranquil conditions expected. Look for low temperatures in the lower to mid 40s over the northern interior, mid to upper 40s along the coast. High temperatures in the mid to upper 60s on Long Island, upper 60s to lower 70s everywhere else. On Tuesday, high pressure gives way. A warm front approaches the region with increasing cloud cover and widely scattered showers. Again, not a washout, but a few pesky showers here and there. Look for low temperatures in the upper 40s to lower 50s over the northern interior, mid to upper 50s along the coast. High temperatures will range from the mid to upper 60s over the northern interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast, and lower to mid 70s in the Delaware River Valley. On Wednesday, this is where we're going to be watching this secluded front lifting through and whether or not we'll get some organized heavy rainfall or this is more scattered showers. But either way you slice it, Wednesday is going to be an unsettled day with the threat for rainfall. Look for low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s, high temperatures in the mid to upper 60s over the interior, mid to upper 60s along the coast, and upper 60s to lower 70s in the Delaware River Valley. Wednesday night into Thursday, that frontal boundary basically breaks up as a trough, and through Thursday afternoon, we get variable clouds and widely scattered showers. Look for low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s over the interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast, high temperatures in the lower to mid 70s. And on Friday, a trough hangs around the region with variable cloud cover and isolated showers. Overall, it's going to be, for the most part, a cloudy day with low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s over the interior and suburbs, lower to mid 60s in the urban areas. High temperatures range from the upper 60s to lower 70s on Long Island, lower to mid 70s along the coast, mid to upper 70s in the Delaware River Valley, and lower to mid 70s over the interior. That is your premium public video forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day. Have an outstanding Mother's Day weekend. And as always, stay safe out there.